Yo, what is up, world? MetaBeeps here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It is really good to see you guys. This week's vlog, we have something special for you because it is season 7, episode 1. That is crazy to think. Finally made it to season 7. Anyways, like I said, I want to talk to you guys and tell you about where the love for film came for me. Some of you may have already asked me this question in person, but I think for the most part, I haven't really talked about it. So I would love to express that and tell you guys the story of how I fell in love with film. So before we get into it, you know what to do. Go ahead and roll the intro, and I'll see you soon. All right, so before we get into this story, I want to just say that every visual that you are seeing in this week's video is brought to you by Envato Elements. Now, this is definitely not a sponsored video, but I just want to let you guys know this is where I get most of my B-roll that you see from time to time in my vlogs. So I'm going to be leaning heavily on this website to get a lot of the B-roll for these little stories that I'm going to be telling. So it just helps me paint a picture because I wasn't able to vlog when I was a teenager. So bear with me, and I hope you enjoy these funny yet hopefully charming and on the nose visuals that will be playing as I talk about how I fell in love with film. Okay, so recently my mom and I took our niece to the movie theaters for the very first time. Now, this was a really cool opportunity for me to see from a very different perspective of someone seeing a movie in the movie theaters for the very first time, opposed to me remembering my experience when I was younger. But anyways, we took my niece to go watch Little Mermaid, and she really enjoyed it. Now, mind you, she is 5 years old, 6 years old? I don't remember, 5 or 6 years old, and she was really good throughout the entire movie. She sat down, she was into it, she wasn't intimidated by the huge screen. She was actually super impressed, and she really enjoyed the movie, except for like the slow moments. Of course, you know, it's hard to keep the attention of a 6-year-old during an entire film. So, you know, I asked her after the movie theaters, and, you know, I could tell that she enjoyed it. As I was watching the movie, I was constantly looking over to see her facial expressions and what she was doing as the movie was playing. But she really enjoyed it. She loved it. And here are a few photos of that. And after that experience, it really had me thinking and remembering how I even fell in love with film, and like, how did I make it to being here in my life at 32 years old? Where did this all begin? So again, for some of you who may know this story, I'm sorry, but you've probably never heard it and seen it told in this way. So for me, I really fell in love with films when I was a teenager. I didn't really have this burning aspiration as a child because where I grew up, there was no film production like whatsoever. It was a very agriculture surrounded by cows and fields. Now, I grew up in Southern California, in Camarillo to be exact, and in 7th through 8th grade, I went to the movie theaters a lot, and I didn't go by myself. It was a social kind of a gathering for all of my friends. You know, we're only 12, 13, 14 years old, and we're actually going to the movie theaters every Friday night. And we just had a really awesome time hanging out together. It was probably like 10 to 15 kids just all piling into one movie theater where, you know, most of the time I got money from my mom, which was really awesome because I didn't really have a way to make money back then. Or sometimes we snuck into the movies, which I'm not too proud of now, but that's just how we got into the movies sometimes. So this is where I got a chance to be a little bit more intimate with some of the crushes that I had at the time, or even some of the girlfriends that I had during those times. So for me, and for pretty much everyone, all of our friends, this was the first time we were able to explore those emotions and feelings that we had towards one another. Or if we weren't really hanging out with a girl or our crush, we were actually hanging out, goofing around, and just being a teenager, which was really fun, liberating. And, you know, I think back at those moments and it was just super liberating. And I know that I grew a whole bunch as an individual. Okay, so let me take a step back. Now, if you think about the experience alone of going to the movie theaters, I had nothing but great emotions, great feelings towards that activity, right? So I'm a kid. Going to the movies is a sense of independence, getting a chance to explore emotions and feelings and going through, changes as a kid. And it was just a really awesome time. So aside from all of those things, the cherry on top of all that, believe it or not, was when the credits rolled from each movie that I got a chance to watch. Now, for some reason, I always felt like when the credits rolled, I was really sad. I had this like very internal sad feeling that I just couldn't put a finger on, I couldn't explain, and I did not understand. Now, at the time, I just thought, oh, this was a cool movie. And I think the time that was spent with my friends, with my crush, girlfriend, whoever it was, the times that I was at the movies, like it was all coming to an end. And then we had to go back to reality, which wasn't a bad reality because again, we're independent, we're hanging out, we're goofing around, we're just being teenagers. And of course, the movies that we were watching, they weren't Academy Award winning films. They weren't like these must-watch films that, everyone knows today. They were blockbusters. They were like huge movies that of course were PG-13 and under. So a lot of the movies that kind of shaped my world and my idea of what film is were blockbusters, were big action movies, were, the cheesy films, but they meant something to me. So at its core, that's kind of how I define my love and passion for film. It was an experience. It was based off the experience of being a teenager, having that sense of independence and just enjoying my company, enjoying the film that was in front of our eyes. It wasn't anything more than that because, fast forward years later, I didn't even think about those memories, as I'm like going to college and starting my actual education after high school. And even during high school, it wasn't about like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker. That still didn't dawn on me until later in life. I fell back on these memories, on these emotions, and that's what really sparked me to kind of explore more of like, what was that as a kid? Like, how can I explore it and how can I continue to replicate that feeling that I had as a kid? And somehow, some way, I figured out that there's film school, and then I applied there, and of course the rest is history. But that is the entire story of how I fell in love with making films, with watching films, and just being a participant, an active participant in watching movies and just being at the cinema. It was all based off of an emotion. Being a cinematographer nowadays, it wasn't like, oh, I love the images as a kid and they spoke to me. It wasn't that. It was the story. It was the world that was built in front of my eyes. And then having to leave a really fun experience as a kid, it just left a lingering feeling and emotion that I just continue to explore. And I'm so happy that I had those experiences as a kid, as a teenager, going to the movie theaters, because that is what I've based my entire life on, is that experience, is those emotions. And I'm just super happy that, I found that love again and I explored it. And then here I am today. So yeah, I hope that made any kind of sense, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And yeah, so if you were ever wondering why I love film so much, that's the answer. That's as simple as I can paint the picture for you. Whatever it is that you really enjoy or love, or whatever your passion is, like, why and how did you find yourself loving that? Like, was it something that you did as a kid that you enjoyed, or was it something that you later in life found? I'm super interested, because this is always an interesting conversation for me whenever people ask me about, like, why do you love film so much, and how did you know that this was, the be all end all? So I'm excited and interested to hear what your story is. Drop it down in the comments. I would love to just hear it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's vlog. I know it was not anything crazy. It wasn't, maybe not exciting for you, but again, like I said, this is season 7 of the vlog, and I'm excited to just take this vlog and to, several different areas and explore a little bit more about myself and like how I can best tell a story for you all to enjoy, and ultimately for myself to enjoy, watching back all of these vlogs in the future. So if you guys enjoyed this week's vlog, you know what to do. Go ahead and do a super jump on that like button down below, and also get subscribed to the YouTube channel, because every single Wednesday is a brand new vlog. I'm Matty Bees, cinematographer / student, and I will see you all in 7 days. Fight on.